All righty. Well, looks like we got about four major league players that accepted that qualifying offer for the 22 mil. We've also got some DFA's, some folks that have been released, some folks that are still out there looking for jobs, some folks that are getting streets named after them. So let's go ahead and go over all of these things. How are you doing? How you doing? What's good? I'm your boy, the real Vince Taylor. And yes, I'd love to speak with you today about baseball. Wake that ass up. Let's chat right quick. Don't look at me like that. Let's go ahead and have a quick chat. It's on the black, baby.
Take me out with the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and cracker jack. I don't care if
All right. So the first thing I want to start off with is just have a couple of thoughts. This won't be too long if you will indulge me, please. The first thing on the list of items this day, how y'all doing, is the information regarding the qualifying offers from the folks that we are now aware of. So if you're not aware, we're still in the off season, of course, and so now a lot of players are getting the option to either stay with the team that they're contracted, that they're when they're released, when they're kind of at the end of their contract and they're in the free agency. Some teams, if they see fit to give their good players, that they would call them, or at least the players that they find the most useful on their rosters, to now have the option to go shopping. They'll offer them something. They can either decline it or accept it. If they deny it, then they can go out into the free wilderness of the free market and see if there's a team that values their services enough to offer them more than what their home team was offering them. And we have 4 instances of that as of this very moment. So if you take a look right here, some of the players that I admire, Shota Imanaga, Gleybor Torres, did actually accept their offers. What does that mean? They get 1 year and can't be traded between now and the season. You get $22 million, 22 million .025, I believe. And that's just for 1 year. Now, what does that mean? That means they're not a long-term deal, obviously. So they have 1 year to prove themselves if they want to continue making it in this industry. Now, I'm not going to lie. Woodruff, I think he's going to be okay. He had a real bad injury in 2025. I don't think he was able to showcase his talent. So I think that he probably wants this year to be able to showcase that. Trent Grisham, honestly, he had such a phenomenal year last year. You're like, dang, it might have made sense for him to hit that free market instead of having that 1 year, because a 1 year deal kind of makes it so that at the end of that year, toward the end of it, you're kind of wondering what's going to happen, as opposed to having that layer of comfort that people like Josh Naylor just got when they were offered their big deals, right? So that's something that they have to consider. Now, you also have to consider the fact that maybe they'll go shopping around and they won't get the exact same amount. They might come back and get something less. Well, I guess they take that. The deadline was this week. They had to decide whether or not they were going to take the deadline, take the qualifying offers, and these 4 did. Now, Shota Imanaga had a bad second half last year, not to mention the fact that he was injured for a good portion of the year. Well, not a good portion, but for a small portion in the midst of the summer. And that could have contributed to the fact that he didn't really get back on par. I don't know if you recall, but when they had their series with Milwaukee, they didn't even let him start. They actually had Andrew Kittredge come in and start the first innings in the postseason because he had such a bad time with statistically in the first innings. Now, Schultz is man. He's one of those players that the fans love, but the front office have a hard time with, because they may not necessarily be giving you the amount that you're paying for. But he is a fan favorite. Okay, I'm not going to lie. Him, Seiya Suzuki, they both got reigning endorsements from not only their fans, from the teammates as well. You recall, Seiya actually got the endorsement by video, a PCA, to get a campaign to get him into the All-Star game. But as for Shota, My concern with him is he's now in his 30s, okay, and that seems to be the unfortunate death knell for baseball players. Once you hit 30, they look at you like this, as if you can't still do it. Gleybor's 28, so I sense Gleybor's going to have a monster year. Hopefully he does. Hopefully they have a lot to help him have a monster year, and he doesn't end up being one of the ones that they have to rely on. But 22 mil for 1 year, I think, isn't the worst for these fellas. So happy for them, but I ain't gonna lie, man. I think I would have. I was kind of. I'm slightly disappointed, not disappointed, but slightly shocked that Shota took the deal, because they offered him 57 mil for 3 years, that's 3 years. I mean, it's under 20 mil, which I'm sure he believes he's worthy of, but he denied that. He said, nah, I'm cool on that. I'm gonna go shopping. And then he said, all right, well, I'm done shopping. I'll go ahead and take that qualifying offer. I'm just curious. That says to me that Shota Imanaga may not have necessarily, him and his team, they may not have necessarily got the kind of support that they thought they was going to get when they were in the postseason. I mean, excuse me, when they were out there looking for suitors. So that, I think, has a big amount to do with it. Check it out. So if you by chance find yourself in a position to turn it down, and then you look around and like, dang, ain't nobody answering my calls, ain't nobody calling, then you might say, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and take this. I mean, 22 mil for a year, that's not bad, especially in a city like Chicago. Chicago got one of the best stadiums. Everybody loves Wrigley Field. It's worth a trip if you haven't been there, even if you're not a fan, as I am not. But I'm interested in the behind the scenes aspect of it. What made Shota turn so quickly and say, no, I'll go ahead and take it now? I believe that there may have been a little bit of a shock with regard to the lack of demand that he found himself in. That sucks, because I consider him a hella popular dude, but I think that this may be, unfortunately, what he may be learning, the beginning of his decline in the industry. So, man, I hope that's not the case, but we're going to go ahead and see. In other news, as we go ahead and get this thing on the road, it's not just him. It's not just them that are having some news, that are getting some deals. They were offered money and they took it. These fellas, unfortunately, did not get offered money. This was not a deal. Unfortunately, Christopherr Morel was on the list of folks who were DFA'd today. Amongst them also, not today, but recently. Also amongst those are Bleday, a few others, but those are the two that I want to focus on, because Christopherr Morel, this is a dude who I think he unfortunately is not going to do as well as I wish he would, because he is one of those people that I like to root for, because they do show their emotions. As a matter of fact, Chris Morel, when he was with the Chicago Cubs, was, not necessarily the best offensively and defensively, and he hasn't necessarily changed that mantra in Tampa either, but he did get kind of closer, tight with the click, I recall. In fact, I remember watching the game and seeing when he actually was was traded during the game. And during that game, because he got traded in the middle of it, he started crying while he was hugging his teammates. He got real emotional about it. And that was interesting to me. I don't know why, but that was fascinating. Now, fast forward, you got Christopherr Morel doing crazy stuff over here unfortunately with the Rays, where he finds himself at times not getting all the way through the bases because he pimps what ends up being doubles. He finds himself getting hella angry and slamming things, which, hey, emotions are emotions, especially in baseball. But I don't know. I thought that made him a little bit exciting and a little bit of a loose cannon, sometimes I think can do a team real good. Now, as for JJ Bleday, it just feels like whenever I would watch A's games, his name was so constantly, so frequently mentioned. But I mean, he's not a 30 homer guy. This dude, we're talking about a dude who just barely hit over 10 home runs within a season. We're talking about a guy who more than likely is defensive first. It just seems weird for him to be DFA'd. I don't know. I feel like maybe they didn't value him as much, or perhaps they're just looking at the future saying, listen, we have Brent Rooker. All right. We now have Nick Kurtz. What are we going to do when Denzel Clark comes back from his injuries? I think that we've secured ourselves a decent outfield. JJ Bleday is getting a little older. Let's go ahead and move on and let him get out there to the Wild so that he can have an opportunity to perhaps get picked up to be a good bench piece for some team that may need somebody who can give them utility. But unfortunately, yeah, that's going to be the end of his career with the A's. But you know what? That don't necessarily mean it's the end of the world, homeboy. You know what I'm saying? There'll be plenty other opportunities. And yay, now you're just in the same arena as a lot of other cats that are out there looking for jobs. Speaking of looking for jobs, somebody that I am very interested to see what ends up happening with them in this offseason, because he is a free agent now, but kind of had a little bit of controversy toward the end of last season, is a young man by the name of Framber Valdez, or as they say, Framber Valdez. Framber Valdez is out there shopping for a job right now after having some controversial incidents happen toward the latter half of the last season. All right. And which I think makes it interesting. I think he's actually literally in Vegas courting teams and trying to explain away what happened with him when he lost a little bit in one of his last games. And I think, just let me say this real quick, I think that this is a little bit unfortunate, because sometimes you only have but so many opportunities to make some sort of impression on folks, and there's so many little things that can be magnified and used to paint over your entire career. Now here's a moment that I'll show you that if you're a fan, you probably already seen. But yeah, this happened with Framber, but he was frustrated, and I'm not trying to make an excuse for it, because there's so many pitchers that would never do anything like this. But I just hope that he can properly make it so that this can get put behind him and become something that he overcomes. Because this is a little personable. This isn't like getting caught doing PEDs or banging on a trash can, or having issues with domestic violence like Aroldis Chapman did way back in the day that's been forgotten. This is something that you see the ferocity in his eyes, and you just like, yo, hold on, I ain't like that. All right, and I don't know if he should. Somebody need to fix that. So his backup catcher wasn't even actually his catcher. It was Cesar Salazar, who was like the second string, third string catcher. Was catching for him when they were playing against the New York Yankees prior to the season being over, when they actually were in the running and there was a small window of an opportunity for them to perhaps enter the postseason, as they have for the majority of the last few years. And I believe it was Trent Grisham. I think Trent Grisham, who just accepted his deal with New York for $22 million for 1 year. Trent Grisham went up and Framber wanted to shake off a pitch, and he didn't agree with the pitch that was being offered, but he took it anyway, and unfortunately it didn't have the result that I think Framber wanted, which was ultimately a grand slam. And I don't think that anybody wants a grand slam hit against them. So it appears that in the next play, the next at bat, he decides to cross up Cesar and gun him. After Cesar is telling him, like, yo, man, get off the mound, man. Step off the mound right quick, man. Let's get it together, because he ain't listening. This is the days of PitchCom, so he can communicate to him through PitchCom. And even if he wanted to, he can be like, "Yo, I can't hear it." Nah, this is outright fury. This is anger personified. And the funny thing is, after this happened, they asked him what happened, and he said, "Oh, it was just a miscommunication. Oh, it was loud." And it was everything but, yeah, I was heated. I shouldn't have did all of that, and my bad. Now, again, he's since has said he's sorry, but this moment will forever be with him. This will define him. This moment right now is Framber Valdez for the foreseeable future. Damn the low ERA. Damn the hot left-handed, the left strong arm. Damn the ability to throw a sinker and a cutter, and then cross them right back up with a curve. Nah, all we know, Framber. When you think Framber Valdez, you think, oh, the dude that hit his own catcher when he got mad because he lost an at bat. And I think that what Framber is doing frantically right now is trying to repair this reputation before it catches fire. Because you got to remember, Framber was on an upward tick, man. This is a dude who came from getting the minimum, all right, to damn near doubling his salary on an annual basis. All right. Since I think 2021, he's had nothing less than $3 million. Yeah, I think his first salary was, I think, around $3 million. No, well, I mean, you got the annual. It was like $3 million. Yeah, in 2022, he got $3 million. Then in 2023, he got $6.8 million. Okay, this is with Houston. All right. Then in 2024, he got $12 million. He's doubling his salary on an annual basis. You know how last year he got $18 million. This year, I should say, and that's not doubling, but that's still an increase. And then, boom, this happens. So now, if he wants to keep on that same trajectory, he's got to go and do some cleanup work. And for that, I think it's a good idea for his agents to shovel him on out there. Cut his hair off, show us a new me, new year, new me. You see that Framber that went out, Framber like, man, hold on, man. I done went out there and cut my hair. I done went and got better. Hey, look, it's a new year, new me, man. I'm not the same. No soy el mismo persona que viste en el video cuando estamos haciendo malas cosas. I don't know, man, whatever. Yeah, man. Framber's like, nah, bro. I'm a new dude. All right. And I'm here to get my bag over 20 AAV. Hallelujah. I think that's his goal. He wants a 20 AAV. So you see now, boom, the tail is gone. And Mr. New Framber, nah, New Framber don't hit his catchers. New Framber takes a deep breath and realizes what just happened, and there's nothing I can do about it. New Framber wants to help your team because you need a left-handed pitcher. New Framber knows you need a starter. New Framber will come and do whatever you say. Please just sign me for $20 million for multiple years. Where would Framber be a good fit for? Me personally, I think the two best fits for Framber, three of them. I have three picks for Framber. I don't think he's going to go to these places, but I think that these are places he could consider. I think that Framber would make a good fit in the New York Mets rotation. Stick him in there because they need some sort of starting pitching right now. And I think that $20 million is nothing for Steve Cohen. Right? They need somebody, and he wants to make good with the public. So I think that makes good. And also, you know, right now, if we could be honest, it fits that whole little vibe they got in there. The Padres look good as well. I don't know what's going on, but they have no Yu Darvish right now. Okay? And I understand they keep shopping Dylan Cease. They still don't. The Michael King thing. Yeah, I think that this makes a little bit of sense. And then finally, I'd say the Giants. The Giants just shared $15 million with Justin Verlander, now being a free agent. He was getting $15 million a year. Framber probably wants 20. for multiple years. I think that Framber is going to have to unfortunately consider the possibility he may not get that long-term contract this year because of some of these preconceived notions. But at the same time, I think that some teams will at least at bare minimum consider it for 2 years at best. But who knows? We'll just have to see. All righty, man. Well, that's going to do it for me today. I'm not going to take up too much time today, but a few things that are on the itinerary for the upcoming days. I still have yet to really talk at length about the direction that the Mets are going, and for that, I think I'll try to have my homeboy Ty on here with me so we can chat on that. And also, I didn't really talk about the CC Sabathia having his sign on his old street in Vallejo, if I'm not mistaken. And that's CC is one of them. Oh man, I've had the fortune of meeting CC and chatting with him for a brief minute, and I'd like to tie those stories together. But yeah, so those are a few things that are on the chopping block, in addition to just kind of counting down the free agent market, seeing who it is that's going to be picked up by who, just speculating, as we baseball heads do. So I will bid thee adieu. Appreciate anybody who may have tuned in for my little video right here. I would sincerely appreciate it if you like, subscribe, and comment. Even if you don't like what you said, what you heard, I don't care, man. Just any kind of commentary is certainly appreciated, just to know you're not speaking to the wind. I am the boy, Real Vince Taylor. We'll see y'all again with On the Black, where baseball covered with flavor like chocolates.